Hi, Adventure Alan here with another great informative video on how to become a better backpacker. And today we're going to talk about how to pack your backpack. And it may seem simple, but there's some things that could really make your life a lot easier on the trail if you pack your pack properly. So, and before I get into this, all this gear here is on my 9-pound gear list. There's a YouTube video about it on this channel. There's a super detailed list on my site, so if you're curious about what gear is being used here, go ahead and check it out. We're going to talk about three things here today. The first is sort of how to achieve good balance with the pack, which is you don't want your pack is just like having to hunch over to get balance, and you don't want it sort of wobbling you all over the place. So we'll try and figure out where that optimal spot is to make it comfortable on the trail. The next thing we're going to talk about is sort of efficiency. And this is really the most important topic. It's how to quickly pack up your gear in the morning with a minimum of fuss, and then how to put it in your pack so that you have available what you need today very quickly and easily. Finally, we're going to talk about weatherproofing your pack. What happens if it rains, and how do you keep your gear dry and protected from the elements. So let's go ahead and we'll start talking about how to balance out your pack. To balance out your pack, you want to get the weight of your pack over the center of gravity of your body, which is like your hips right here. You have to get the center of gravity of your pack over it. Now, if I take this food bag, which is usually the major heaviest thing in your pack, I'm going to lay my pack down here for a second, and I put it right here, in order to get it over my center of gravity, I have to lean way over to move this bag forward to get it over my center of gravity. But if I take this and put it right behind my shoulders, then all I have to do is just take this little bitty lean and it's over my hips. So I'm not all hunched over. So we're going to try and do that when we pack the pack. The only potential downside is that some people really don't like this weight, especially if they're off trail, or maybe you don't have quite a strong torso. This can tend to sort of start to wave you around a bit. And so you might want to just scoot it just a little bit lower than your shoulder blades if that's true for you. Anyway, that covers that. The next thing we're going to talk about is packing efficiency. One key concept that I really like to cover is this cramming everything into really super small stuff sacks. Everything has to go into a stuff sack, and then using like a too small pack, or a small pack. It looks sexy. Everybody wants that look, but it's not efficient. It's really hard to cram everything into those stuff sacks. Cold fingers in the morning, and you're trying to get your sleeping bag into a stuff sack that's about this big. It takes forever. Then you're trying to jam it into this really tiny pack, and that takes more time. And then it's really hard to get stuff in the pack, and it's hard to get it out. So one of the things you'll see is that I have things that are in sort of an amorphous shapes, like this tent and the sleeping pad, even my rainwear. And I'm just going to jam those into places to easily fill in the pack a little better. And I do like a larger pack. It's faster and easier to pack things. It's more flexible. This is a Hyperlight Mountain Gear junction pack. It's a 3400, which has this larger extension collar. It's 2 ounces more than 2400, but it just makes it so much easier to jam gear in here and not have to just try and shove it down and try and make it fit. And then finally, I like lots of external pockets here. Like here, here. I've got 2 hip belt pockets. I've got a couple shoulder strap pockets, and that makes all my gear accessible during the day. I don't really like to go into the main pocket of the pack unless I have to. Ideally, I'd like to be able to grab it out of a pack pocket or my pants pockets while I'm hiking, and it's more efficient. And finally, a really word advice: put the same thing in the same place every time. If you don't do this, I guarantee you'll be in the middle of somewhere, need something desperately, and you'll have to unpack your whole pack to find it. So I'm going to move into the nuts and bolts of this, and I'm actually going to start putting stuff into the pack. The first thing is this Hyperlight Mountain Gear Pack is Dyneema. It's a waterproof fabric. The seams are taped and sealed. It's about 95% waterproof. It's actually not 100% waterproof. The seam tape goes a little bit, I don't know. Usually you can get just a tiny bit of water in the bottom. Maybe it's from opening and closing the pack. So I like to put something sacrificial in the bottom of the pack, something that if it doesn't get wet, if it gets wet, it's not the end of the world. That's going to be this tent. Notice it's not in a stuff sack. It actually works better to sort of fill in the voids in the bottom of the pack. And it's also something I'm not going to need until the end of the day. So, one of the rules is just to put stuff in the bottom of the pack so that you're not going to need till you get to camp. So I'm going to slide that into here, and I'll just give it a nice scrunch to get it nice and low. The next thing going in is my sleeping bag. You'll see it's in one of these nice waterproof Dyneema stuff sacks. This actually has a roll top because it's my sleeping bag and I really don't want it to get wet. Between the pack being waterproof and this being waterproof, I don't need a rain cover or anything else to the pack. I'm good if it pours down rain. So I'm packing my pack the same way whether it's going to rain or not, and I skip the rain cover. So I put that in there and shove that down. And the other thing you notice is not only am I putting stuff that I don't need till later in the day, I'm also putting lighter stuff in the bottom of the pack and saving the heavier stuff to the top of the pack to help that lean. The next thing I'm going to put in here is my Thermarest NeoAir women's pad. And again, this is not tightly scrunched up. It's not in a stuffed sack. I'm actually going to use this amorphous shape to fill in some voids in this pack. And again, this is something I'm not going to need until I get into camp. So I'm going to make like a little U-fold there. Put that in my pack. This is my stove and fuel, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of that U-fold. You can't really see in the pack here, but there's a little U-fold, and this is fitting nicely into that. That's my down jacket. Again, something that's lighter, probably something that I'm not going to need until later in the day, probably camp. And it's in this really nice waterproof stuff sack that if you flip it inside out has a nappy side to make a pillow. That's going to go into the pack next. And again, I'm not really scrunching stuff down that much because I've got this big pack, so I don't need to worry about it. And then this is about the time I'm going to put this heavy food sack in. And again, I'm going to put this food sack. This is an earth sack, and it's even if you have bear, it works in many parks that have bear restrictions. It's your first choice if it's allowed in your parks. I'm going to put this up again right about where my shoulder blades are, where we talked about. Shove that in the top of the pack here. And then finally, I'm going to put my clothing that I might need for the day, but I probably won't. This is like my fleece base layer, hat, gloves, spare socks. And I'm going to put that, this is in this nice pod. It's a zippered pocket that's shaped exactly for the pack. And it's also nice because this clamshell design makes it really easy to open up and find things versus a drawstring closure stuff sack. Anyway, I'm going to throw that in the top of the pack. And that's nice. So I'm going to drop it down here. And it's got a roll top closure to keep the contents dry. So made up the Velcro here. Take a few rolls. Clip this down, flip the other side down, come over the top, do that, and voila, I'm mostly done. The only thing I'm going to do now is show you how I organize my external pockets. This is getting back to, I don't want to go into this main body of the pack during the day unless I have to. I want to be able to get everything out of side pockets. It's just super more efficient. So typically what I do in this big mesh bucket pocket, I put my rain jacket in there. These are my rain pants. I throw those in there. I've got some rain mitts. Throw those in there. This is my map, custom waterproof map, and a Ziploc baggie. I've got my compass. I've got my writing pad, some pens and pencils. Put that there. That's mostly for note taking at lunch or at the end of the day. Generally, I'm using my iPhone with Gaia GPS on it to navigate, but this is nice to have. And then I have my Sawyer water filter and an extra bladder. Also goes back in here, easy to get out. This is my ditty bag. It's got my headlamp, it's got a first aid kit, got knife, all the sort of small spare water bottle caps, just all that sort of spare drips and drabs. And I'm just going to shove it in a side pocket here. And this is in a waterproof bag too, so it'll handle rain if it gets wet. And then finally, I'm going to put my food for the day, my snack food. I'm going to put that in another side pocket here. And I'm done. So I got a couple things more I want to talk to you about. First of all, this is kind of a fun party trick, which is you can do this. Drop your pack on like that. And that's the other thing I thought to mention about pack comfort and pack lean. And that is a light pack like this pack is the number one thing that you can do for pack comfort, is just to pack intelligently and don't pack a ton of stuff that you don't need and pick light gear. And then you're nice and comfortable. And you can see I'm not really leaning at all to have my balance. So the other things I didn't mention, got a smart water bottle up front here in a water bottle pocket. This takes, again, some of that weight and moves it forward to give me less body lean, and it also gives me nice access to water during the day. My Garmin InReach is here, super easy to get in and out and manipulate. My iPhone is in this nice HMG waterproof pocket that goes with the pack. So it's protected and easily accessible. In this pocket here, I've got a nice, very high quality, professional quality compact camera. And in this pocket over here, I've got some water treatment, I've got my bum wad and hand sanitizer, and I've got some sunscreen. And again, put everything in the same place every time. I've had some very awkward moments when it was raining and I couldn't find the piece of gear I wanted, and the last thing you want to do is be spreading all your stuff out like a garage sale in the rain, trying to find that critical piece of gear. Okay, let's talk about weatherproofing and protecting your gear from rain and snow. This is a concern of a lot of backpackers, and I'm going to talk about 3 different techniques to do that. The technique I like, but it is admittedly expensive, is to go with this Dyneema pack, which is a waterproof fabric, and it's taped and seam sealed. It's got a roll top closure. So, theoretically, the pack is mostly dry, as I explained. Sometimes a little bit of water gets in, so I generally like to use these Dyneema stuff sacks to put key gear like my down jacket or my sleeping bag into the pack. I really like these pods. They're these clamshell designs that makes it really easy to locate your gear. It's got a waterproof zipper on it, and it kind of fills in the voids on the pack. I have this great sort of pillow stuff sack for my down jacket that also keeps my down jacket protected. And between these and the pack, I don't do anything different during the day. Essentially, if it starts to rain, I do nothing different. I'm not scrambling for a pack cover or doing a bunch of other stuff. But if you don't have a waterproof pack, and most people don't, that's not a big deal. It's pretty easily dealt with. And my favorite solution for that are these Polycro pack liners. Polycro is a very strong, durable plastic, much stronger than the normal plastic you use. And you take one of these big packs and you just basically stick it inside your pack and stuff your sleeping bag and your gear in there, and just take a roll over the top, and that'll keep it dry during the day. And actually, honestly, you could go to Walmart or your food store and buy a trash compactor bag and line your pack with that. It's a little heavier, but they're durable and works great. And I've done this for years. I still have packs that I use this with. The final solution is to use a rain cover. And this is what most people do. Almost all pack companies make a rain cover for their pack, and there's some generic ones as well. They're better than nothing, but you can get a lot of rain in the back. They don't cover your back, so the rain comes down your neck and it goes along the back of your pack. Rain will get in there. The other thing that happens is you block access to all your pockets, and then finally it's another thing to buy. It's another piece of weight, another thing to keep track of. That being said, I mean, they're way better than nothing, and you should have something to protect your pack. And then one last thing that I'm going to mention, I'm going to bring out the dread object here out of my show and tell. Dun da da, the dread bear canister. Now, I'm all for protecting the bears, and I believe in, parks have the regs there for a reason, so you need to use it, but it makes packing your pack a This is a big, sort of large, lumpy object. It's not a good shape to fit in a backpack. So what do you do with it? Well, you bring it. You put it in the top of your pack the same way that I would have put my food bag in there. The only thing is, remember when I told you about packing everything in amorphous shapes? Like keeping my thermarest pad loose, the tent loose. I might even take my fleece jacket out of the clothing bag, and you just start stuffing it into the voids around this pack. And that does two things. One, it helps it fit better into the pack. It makes it more of a shape that will fit into your pack. And two, it will protect your back from this big lump poking in. So generally, this is the back of my pack, and this is where my back is, my head's up here, and I want to push like a big sort of an amorphous thing here and an amorphous thing here to sort of make this rectangular up against my back in the pack. And that really helps a lot with comfort. Obviously use the smallest bear canister that you can. Try and use compact, dense food. Try and get by with this BV 450, which is the smaller one. If you have to go to the 500, that's okay, but it makes it even more difficult to fit in the pack. Anyway, that concludes how to pack your backpack and how to do it in a really efficient, sensible manner that keeps you comfortable. You can find all your gear. It makes sense. It's going to make your life on the trail a lot pleasanter, make your backpacking trip more fun, and you're going to look cool in front of all your friends being so super organized. One of the things obviously was great about this is that it's a super light pack. So if you want to learn more about what's in the pack, there's a great video on this channel about my 9-pound full comfort gear list. And that full comfort gear list is also on my website, and you can see the link at the bottom of the page, but both of them go over in great detail sort of what's in this pack and how to pack intelligently and get this nice light pack and own it for yourself. As you can see, packing your pack is not quite as simple as you thought it was. You probably learned a lot in this video. So with that said, we're going to be doing a lot of great educational and informative videos about backpacking that will help make your life in the backcountry and on the trail a lot more fun. So stay tuned to this channel for more great content. Go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and click the bell at the bottom to be notified of new content, these great informative videos that are coming out. This is Adventure Alan. Looking forward to seeing you soon when we put out another great educational video.